Hello everybody, my name is Mario5514 and welcome back to another Splatoon Talk video. In this video, we're going to be talking about the Splatoon third weapon kit. As you guys have known, regular updates for Splatoon 3 has come to a close according to a statement released by Nintendo on Twitter saying that after 2 years, all regular updates for Splatoon 3 will come to a close, but all the seasonal Splatfests will make their reappearance, as well as big runs will still be a thing if you're in Grizzco and all of that other good stuff. Now you're probably asking, does that mean the third kits are not coming to Splatoon 3? Sadly, that's what it sounds like. But I'm here to also give you the lowdown, as in giving you the what if. Like, what if Nintendo decided to put the third weapon kits into Splatoon 3? I mean, how would that look? So in this video, we're going to be touching bases on what the third weapon kits could look like, as in styles, as well as their setups, including sub-weapons and main weapons. So without further ado, let's get right into it. Okay, if you guys have played Splatoon 1, you guys know exactly what I'm talking about in terms of weapons. What I'm talking about is the third weapon kits. And yeah, you're probably asking, what do those look like, or what are you talking about? Well, third weapon kits are basically, they're known as Sheldon's picks. In 2015, going into 2016, Volume 1 and Volume 2 of Sheldon's picks for Splatoon 1 came out. Showing like weapons like the Wasabi Splatter Shot, the H3 Nozzle Nose, as in the cherry variant of the H3 Nozzle Nose. We also had the Berry Splatter Shot Pro, the Grim Range Blaster. I mean, all of those good weapons. And some of them made their reappearance in Splatoon 2, but they were not shown in Splatoon 3. I mean, in Splatoon 2, they were shown with their original looks, like the Heavy Splatling Remix and the NZAP 83, but other weapons, like the Wasabi Splatter Shot, got a makeover, as what we've seen for the Tony Kensa Splatter Shot. It's basically the Wasabi Splatter Shot of Splatoon 2, and that's happened to be our first weapon on the list here, which I will show at the very end of the video. First weapon is the Wasabi Splatter Shot. The sub-weapon, I think, for the Wasabi Splatter Shot could be either the Splat Bombs, or we could give it the Suction Bombs, like we've seen in Splatoon 2. And the special weapon, we could have Triple Splashdown, because, you know, the Triple Ink Strike was already taken by the Tenatech Splatter Shot, so maybe the Triple Splashdown would be the best special for Splatoon 3's Wasabi Splatter Shot. Give it that green and yellow look that we've seen in Splatoon 1. Just give it in like that original style that we've seen in 2015 and 2016. And keep in mind, everything that you're about to hear are predictions to what we could see in the third installment. These are not real. These are only opinions that I've expressed that could be possible in theory for these third picks. Next up we have is the Koro Koro Splat Roller. Apparently this weapon was named after the Splatoon manga, the Koro Koro Cup arc in volumes 1 and 2, as well as going into volume 3, I would think. But volume 3 is the Square King Cup arc that we would see going in between volume 3 and volume 6. So the Koro Koro Splat Roller could have curling bombs or burst bombs as its sub-weapon, and then the special weapon could be either give it Trizuka or give it Inkjet, because, you know, the Inkzuka didn't make its reappearance in Splatoon 2, as the Inkjet was like its replacement in Inkopolis Square because of the regulation from Sunken Scroll 11 in Splatoon 2's single-player story mode. So yeah. Next up is the NZAP 83. In the first installment, this was one of Sheldon's picks. It had Point Sensor and Kraken, In the second installment, it had Sprinkler and Inkstorm. Maybe in the third installment, we could get the Splat Bombs as its sub-weapon, and maybe for the special weapon, we could have Big Bubbler. You know, just as something to be different, or just try to think of another way to have the NZAP series look different in Splatsville than in Inkopolis Square or Inkopolis Plaza. So yeah, maybe we could have that kind of setup. We also have the Splooshmatic 7. In the first installment, we had Splat Bombs and Inkzuka. And you know what? In the E3 demo in 2014 for the first installment, the original Splatter Shot in the E3 demo had Splat Bombs and Inkzuka before it was replaced by Burst Bombs and Bomb Rush. Of course, the Inkzuka was given to the Tenatech Splatter Shot, with the exception of Suction Bombs as well. So maybe for the Splooshmatic 7, we could have Splat Bombs as being the original sub-weapon in Splatoon 1 and 2, and maybe we can give it Tentamissiles in the third installment, you know? So yeah, just remember, these are all in predictions or in theory of what the third weapon kits for Sheldon's picks could look like. So keep that in mind, all right? If you guys have any different opinions about the third weapon kits, just send a comment below the video. I'd like to hear what you have to say on them. Anyway, let's keep going. Alright, next up we have the Aerospray PG. In the first installment, it had Burst Bombs and it had Kraken. In the second installment, it kept the Burst Bomb sub-weapon, but it was given Booyah Bomb. Maybe in the third installment, we could keep the Burst Bombs, but give it Super Chump. If you mained the NZAP 89, it was given Auto Bombs and Super Chump. Maybe we could have Burst Bombs and Super Chump with the Aerospray PG. You know, just to try to, like, have another Aerospray model work differently than the MG and the RG model. Next up we have is the Fresh Squiffer. This was a Charger class weapon as seen in Splatoon 1 and 2. Maybe for the third installment we could see it have Suction Bombs and give it Wave Breaker. I think that was a special weapon used by the E-Liter 4K and the Scope variant of the E-Liter 4K in Splatoon 3. So maybe in this version we could see Suction Bombs and Wave Breaker for the Fresh Squiffer. I don't know, just something to, these are just ideas I'm throwing out here. I doubt Nintendo would even go with those setups that I've currently mentioned. Next up we have is the Grim Range Blaster. This weapon is just, if you played it in Splatoon 2, it is just a broken setup. However, the only downside is that it has a slow firing rate like the Range Blaster. Maybe we could keep in the first and second installment, it had Burst Bombs. Maybe in the third installment we could give it Booyah Bomb. I don't know how that would look in terms of fighting, even though that kind of looks like the original setup for the Aerospray PG in Splatoon 2. Yeah, and it's just different. It's just a matter of opinion. If you guys have different opinions on these weapon setups, send a comment below the video. Next up we have is the Heavy Splatling Remix. In the first installment, we've seen it have Sprinkler and Killer Whale. In the second installment, it had Point Sensor and Booyah Bomb. Maybe in the third installment, we could have it have Angle Shooter and Triple Ink Strike. Let me just tell you, the first installment's weapons are, I mean, talking about the specials, the first installment had the best specials than any of the other games in the series. Splatoon 2 is like, I mean, it was like different, but it didn't have the same touch as the first installment did in terms of specials. Next up we have is the Soda Slosher, a Slosher class weapon that was a bit annoying to some people. I mean, with a Slosher you could throw the ink over a wall to knock out your hiding opponent that's hiding from the other side. As well as to, so we could give it Splat Bombs, like it had in the first and second installment, and then maybe include the Triple Splashdown. Wonder how that would work for the soda sloshers to speak. Um, I don't think I've heard any of the sloshers getting the getting any of the getting a triple splashdown or anything. If you do, send a comment below the video. I'd like to hear if it's true or not. Um, Keep in mind these next weapons may sound they may sound stupid, but this is just a matter of opinion, so keep that in mind. Alright, next up we're going to talk about is the Cherry H3 nozzle nose. In the first installment, this was a bit of a... This class of shooter was basically the worst ever. And you want to know why? Even though it says semi-automatic weapon, it is the worst weapon next to the squeezer if we look at it in Splatoon 2. Even though it had splash wall in the second installment, it had splash walls and it had bubble blower. Maybe in the third installment we could give it splash wall or give it toxic mist, and maybe for its special we can give it the ink vac. Talk about a very toxic weapon right there. Anyway, but seriously, I think that we could see that kind of setup with the Cherry H3 nozzle nose. Just something to just to keep the competition out of reach of victory. Next up, we have is the Berry Splattershot Pro. In the first installment, it had suction bombs and bomb rush of suction bombs. In the second installment, it was replaced by the Tony Kensa model Splattershot Pro, giving it splat bombs and booyah bomb. Maybe in the third installment, we could give it the original sub-weapon, suction bombs, and maybe we can give it Big Bubbler. You know, I mean, that would just be a bit overpowering for the Splattershot Pro if you look at it at every angle. But I mean, but then again, these are all just in theory. If Nintendo were to add any of these to the game, just to keep that in mind. Just keep in mind. I mean, if these were added in, I bet every single person would just rave about it on YouTube right now, to be honest. Alright, next up we have is the Permanent Ink Brush, a brush class weapon that basically is just the most hated by myself. And you want to know why? They're the most annoying weapons of all weapons. I mean, they're just like, they may not do as much as a regular, as much as a roller, but let me tell you, they are the most biggest pains in fighting them, especially the octo brushes. They're the most painful of all, and I hate them with a burning passion next to chargers. Literally. Maybe for the permanent ink brush we could give it splat bombs or give it a torpedo, and then maybe for its special we can give it Trizuka. Just like a weapon, to just give it something good, you know. There are some times that people think that ink brushes are like underrated or they're underpowered when it comes to this kind of when it comes to fighting in a turf battle. Maybe giving a Trizuka would just overpower it. I mean, I'm not sure. I mean, I have not used an ink brush or an octo brush, so I can't really say anything about it until I've used it myself. Next up we have is the refurbished mini Splatling. In the second installment, we did not have any third variant mini Splatlings, only the heavy Splatlings. The refurbished mini Splatling could have angle shooter or ink mines, and then we could give it either tent missiles or give it crab tank, you know, just to give the mini Splatling a bit of an edge against its foes. Keep in mind, these next four weapons may sound a bit crazy, or they may sound a bit stupid, but let me just tell you, it's a bit of a, shall we say it's just a pain. or to even just to comprehend the stupidity of these setups. All right, next up we have is the Temper Dynamo Roller. In the first installment, it had Seekers and it had Killer Whale. In the second installment, we have the Tony Kenson variant of it, which I think it gave you Sprinkler and Booyah Bomb. Maybe in the third installment, we could see its original design make its reappearance, giving it Suction Bombs or Curling Bombs as its sub-weapon, and then as its special, we could see the reappearance of the as its special weapon, maybe we can give it Wave Breaker. Just to keep in mind, if you guys know, comment down below if you guys think the Wave Breaker is actually worth the weapon adding in or not. Because I feel like it's just a weapon that will just mark your opponent's location, but it will rarely do as much damage as any of the other specials out there. Next up we have is the Bamboozler 14 MK3. Let me just tell you, Bamboozlers are the worst weapons in the game, next to chargers and brushes. Why? Because not only is the thing so bad, I mean, yeah, people are gonna say it has a fast recharge rate, but it just does not do as much damage, and it does not do very well in close quarter combat. And you want to know why? Because they suck. They barely have any muscle behind them. But I mean, with the Bamboozler MK3 making its reappearance in Splatoon 3, in Splatoon 2, giving it with Fizzy Bombs and Burst Bomb Launcher, maybe in the third installment we could see Splash Wall or Ink Mines being a thing for it, and then giving it triple Splashdown, just to give the Bamboozler a bit of an edge, instead of being the underpowered weapon it is, or as we see it in with Splatoon 1 and 2. We only have 2 more weapons, but I think we could just knock these out of the ballpark very easily, as they're both charger weapons. The Bento Splat Charger and the Bento Splatter Scope. These are basically going to be easy. I mean, if you look at Splatoon 1 and 2, the Chargers and the Splatter Scope variants of them are basically going to have the same setup. They're basically going to be the same with each other in terms of fighting. In Splatoon 2, they both had Splat Bombs and Stingray. In the first installment, it had Splat Bombs and Bomb Rush of Splat Bombs. Maybe in the third installment, we could have them both use Auto Bombs and Killer Whale 5.1. You know, just to have something that's just simple or just normal, you know? And yeah, that's pretty much it for the third weapon kits. I think something else we could talk about, since I have a little bit of time left, is that maybe we could, maybe I can make another video talking about the third weapon kits, or ranking the third weapon kits. If you guys like that idea, comment down below. With that, we are going to end it there. Thank you all for watching. If you guys like the video, be sure you subscribe. If you guys want to get more Splatoon Talk content, send a comment below the video. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next video. And until then, stay fresh.